Alright, so actually I've never started a presentation with quoting someone else that just did a presentation. I'm going to quote Doug when he said that for travel agency the best defense is your offense. Kind of agree with that. What we would like to show you today, I'm not saying we have the holy grail against fraud, but we have a solution that is, we think should be used by anyone else doing fraud. It's a bit different, the approach is different. Why is it different? First of all, the mother company, Ypsilon, we are an IT company. We've been in the travel industry since 1992. So we have a lot of experience and, of course, a lot of connectivity. So the core business from the Ypsilon Net AG at the time and still today was to provide internet booking engines to likes of TUI, Thomas Cook, consolidators throughout Europe and some in the US, OTAs, etc. So of course, doing that, we connect to a lot of things. GDSs, Amadeus, Sabre, Travel Board. We connect to CRSs, read and write. We connect to Navitaire, Radix, NextRace, Air Kiosk, whatever. We connect to Hotel XML, to Car XML, etc. So that was our core business, and we did basically multi-source, multi-content booking engine with NetFares, with everything that is available on the marketplace. And a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, we became PCI DSS level 1. We did that because, well, we aggregated a lot of low-cost carriers with the system that I've just mentioned, like Navitaire, Radix, etc. And of course, we had a lot of credit card transiting through our system. So we didn't really have much of a choice but become PCI DSS level 1. For the record, it took us 1 year and close to €1 million. Plus the recurring costs that we have every year for all the intrusion tests that we have to do, the recertification that we have to do, etc. Anyway, so and after that, the next logical step for us was to become a payment service provider, right? It's a payment gateway. Why? We realized that, well, the TUIs of this world, or Thomas Cook of this world, that were using our system, were telling us, okay, for the payment, I want you to go to Ogon, I want you to go to PaddlePay, Eurocommerce, etc., etc. We did that. But becoming PCI DSS, we realized, you know what? We can do that ourselves. We don't need to go through XYZ. We can go directly to the acquiring bank. So we've done that. Connected more and more LR1s of this world, JP Morgan, etc. So we've done that. Concardis, BNS services, whatever. And now we're basically bypassing one middleman. Now we come to fraud. And I realized that all the PSPs or whatever companies we have out there that propose fraud prevention, and again, I still insist on the word prevention, because for us there's fraud prevention, but there's always one big thing missing, it's the automation after that. So all the systems out there that, I should click on this right now, that's our, I'm going into fraud stuff. So anyway, so we realized, okay, they offer some kind of a fraud prevention. So what do we have out there? We have a lot of companies that are financial companies that work in retail. Then they go to the travel industry and they say, oh, you know what, we can do fraud. So they'll do gambling, they'll do, I don't know, whatever, porn site, Amazon, whatever. They'll do fraud all across the board. And then they'll go to the travel industry and say, we want to have something really great for you. Give us your data. And again, give us your data and we'll analyze it. We'll score it for you and we'll tell you, well, is it fraudulent or not fraudulent? And eventually, we'll prevent the booking. Okay, so far so good, sounds nice. You could, as an airline, you could reduce your fraud ratio. But it would be like doing one thing and not the rest of it. So, okay, this is an introduction. Of course, you all know that, you're all hit by fraud. With all, I mean, you know, you go on the internet today, you can find scripts about SQL injection. You can buy a credit card, including CDC code for $19 with SLA. Even with service level agreement, if the card won't work, you will replace. Free of charge, you can buy batches of credit card, etc. So fraud, yeah, it's an obvious, it's there. Difficult to, but it's not difficult to find or to buy that data. And of course, you have people that advertise, they specialize. Yeah? They say, okay, I have a credit card, but also I specialize in the travel industry. I give you a card that you can use, including CVC, including the name of the person, etc. So we all know it's that easy to get the data. So of course, you as travel agent and as an airline, you're the target. So what's the, okay, here again, I'm sure you all know that, okay, it's in the presentation. What's the cost of fraud? Interestingly, okay, for an agency, if you sell a ticket on a fraudulent credit card, and you've lost the full fare because you could get an ADM, you have to charge back. That's going to cost you money. The airline, well, they think they send the ADM, but you still have your charge back. Your acquiring bank will say, okay, well, you know what, the chargeback rate is increasing. But then the airlines will say, but wait a minute, I'm using a fraud check on my direct side. Again, you are, but Lufthansa is also sold by TUI and Thomas Cook and God knows who. And they don't know about it. The fraud check is not done on the travel agency. Airlines may think, okay, I don't care, I send an ADM. But yet, at the end of the day, your acquiring bank will hit you because your chargeback ratio is really high. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Lufthansa is paying in the millions penalty to their acquiring bank because of chargeback. Of course, they're too big to fail, so the acquiring bank is not really going to do much about it. So you really have a massive cost of fraud. As an agency, as well as an airline, of course, you'll have the online fraud. You know, what my flight free of charge is going to transport me to God knows where, and I'm going to have a ball buying perfumes for my girlfriend, etc. So it goes into billions of dollars. IATA resolution for the travel agencies, you probably all know it. Means that basically, if you make a booking with a credit card, you're responsible for it. If anything goes wrong, the airline does not accept the credit card, well, that's your problem. You get an ADM, and that's it. That's what it says here. Airlines will hide behind that. But what a lot of agencies don't know is that part here. So, how many of you have a website, the travel agencies? So you sell in-house, you have people coming in your office, and of course you sell online. Maybe you have your own booking engine based on the GDS, or you use a white label from a consolidator or whatever. Like in Canada, I think World Plus is doing that, and you have quite a few consolidators out there. This one is not very known. This one means that, okay, if it's a card not present transaction for which it has been done over the web, well, this IATA resolution does not cover it. Did anyone know that from the travel agencies? You do. In Europe, when we ask the question, no one knows. Okay, you don't even know about the 890, but even less about 2.1.5. You have to make a distinction between what you sell with card present in your office, and if you have a B2B or B2C side, when you sell it online, it's not covered. It's only said that you should just ask the airlines for, okay, what's the regulation? So from all the thousands of agencies we have in Europe as customers, none of them do that. They get an ADM, it wasn't on their PCC or office ID, and they deal with it. So here, in case you didn't know that, kind of important. So then any fraud management system out there will say, okay, how can we help you reduce your costs and reduce your fraud and streamline your process, etc. So, to my knowledge, all the systems out there, they will tell you, okay, we have a fantastic fraud system and we have billions of data, send us your information. So to an airline, they will say, send us your data via our web services. I don't think they have a really big offer for travel agency. I think maybe it's too small, but it probably will be the same. The question then again for a travel agency, do I have the resource? Or do I have the IT resource to be able to send via some kind of an XML web service the data to a XYZ company doing fraud prevention? For an airline, it is okay, I'm sending them tons and tons of financial data and also sending them tons and tons of personal data. Do we have some kind of a data privacy issue in Europe? I'm pretty sure you would have such an issue. Maybe the question has not really been raised, but people do that today. They use a fraud prevention to send them everything. So you have a name, birthday, pass number, and God knows what in that web services information. So, okay, well, we say, okay, maybe that's a problem. So, if you were to look for a good fraud system, what should you do? It should analyze everything you get in a passenger name record. Name, when was the book, the interval between booking time and departure time, the IP, device fingerprinting, the IP logic. For example, if you have a booking that has been done on a, I'm not going to say Vietnamese, I don't know how Vietnamese, so that would be fair. Well, okay, here, I'm French, but I have a German credit card. So I could be in London on an English IP using my French credit card, trying to book a flight because I'm going for business to, I don't know, Frankfurt to God knows where. That could be a problem. The fraud system could detect me as being a potential fraud because the IP would have a logical IP set of a combination, let's say. IP England, a French card, going from Germany to Vietnam, whatever. That could be a potential fraud. So I would be probably blocking it, I would be a false negative, basically. So you have to, a good fraud system will have to check all this information. Load factors is the information that you should check. So, I'm not saying that systems out there don't do that, they do actually. Yeah, but we have to send them the information. None of them goes into APNR, opens it within your system. So for the agencies, it's your PCC or your office ID. For the airline, it's also your analytics office ID. You're hosted in Amadeus. It's your Sabre PCC. It's your Navitaire, well, access code, whatever. As I said before, again, we connect to Amadeus TravelMole, Navitaire, EasyRes, Radix, etc. What does that mean? What is it so important? Analyzing the data. It shouldn't stop there. It should go beyond that. It should go beyond that, and it should do the full automation. Meaning that once you've analyzed that, you score. You generate the scoring, and you should be able to do something with it. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless. Because you block right away. Before the booking happens, okay, then you can say, I'm not going to let that booking go through. We think it's a fraud, I just block it. So you create a lot of false negative eventually, or false positive. You don't have the flexibility. So, we think that, well, okay, here that's, again, the things what a good fraud check should do. It should also have a lot of data, black-list data. You should share information. For example, Parasolics, EthoCap. We work, for example, in our case, we use Parasolics data, we use EthoCap, but we also have our own data because we have a lot of customers, like Thomas Cook, they all have the possibility in our system to put information in a big bag, let's say, that is reused every time when we analyze bookings. Okay, that email already had it a while ago. So we cross-reference all this information. Many times, fraudsters, I mean, they're not stupid. They'll change the name. They will change a letter in the name or whatever. They use different emails. All this information, we cross-reference. If we saw an email 3 months ago that we scored maybe 60 points, and you had an email with Yahoo.fr, at BL8Yahoo.fr, and now we have another booking 3 months later with different information, but again, the same email. We increase the scoring. So cross-referencing, sharing of data, your own data, from companies like Parasolics and EthoCap, vital. Your algorithm is vital, so if you are, as an agency, if you were to talk to any fraud prevention system out there, well, they should have a good algorithm. You should be able to have a set of metrics which allows you to really pinpoint your rules. Not everybody has the same rules. An airline doesn't have the same rules as the other airlines next door. An agency in Canada won't have the same rules, or not as restrictive as an agency in Chicago, Illinois. So you should have a system that allows you, based on X amount of metrics, I think we have like 250 metrics, something like that, to pinpoint your rules. So, now, the cross-reference here, to give you an example, we have a fraudulent booking, but here is what is interesting. We have 8 matches, same email. We have 2 matches where the address was similar, date of birth was similar. Extremely important, the cross-reference. Well, in our case, we are very lucky because we have customers across different countries in Europe, and of course they will try anywhere, everywhere.
And these cross-references go all on different websites. So, and if you don't cross-reference, you wouldn't have found it.
Exactly. So for us, cross-reference, or for any system, again, it's not a sales feature. So for any system, being able to cross-reference data is extremely important. Even if they have changed something in the name, or maybe they use the same name, same address, different email, you have to be able to cross-reference. They are very, very professional fraudsters, very smart people. Now, here, well, again, an example of, well, it's one of ours here. When he booked departure day, short departure day. By the way, if you had a booking like this, if I was to go on any website today, this morning, for a flight going on, what's today, Tuesday, on Wednesday or Thursday, technically I could go there, I could issue my boarding pass, I have no back to check-in, I go straight to the gate, it won't catch me, no way. It would only catch me if your fraud detection system goes in there and does something within that period, be it removing the seating assignment, so that when I go happily to the gate with my boarding pass, it won't work. The QR code won't be removed. So my options are to either contact the gate agent or take a flight, get out of the airport. It would only work if you are able to even change the statement status, change it to the UC or whatever. And to my knowledge, I don't know if any system does that too. I don't think so. But being able to...
Sorry, can I add one thing to the slide before? The fraudsters are learning more and more. What you saw, book one day in advance, that's, well, I think most of the agencies and the airlines knows that when it's short booking, I have to have an eye on it. But what we see, fraudsters are learning. And they book, for example, we had cases, they booked 4 weeks in advance, taking a fraudulent credit card, passing through, no problem. The fraud detection system has trouble to see it. And what the fraudsters did, they're calling the next day the call center of the airline, say, oh, I have to rebook, I have to fly tomorrow. So what are we going to do?
We got hit with over $20,000 in fraud, just doing that exact same thing. Domestic flights book 30 days in advance, and they'd call Air Canada, make the change, and they would depart prior to us even opening the next day.
Yeah.
So they were actually booking today to travel tomorrow, but they booked 30 days out, and they used the same credit card on the original transaction, and called the call center at 6 o'clock in the morning, changed the departure to that morning, and then used the flew on the credit card.
Imagine the following: if your call center agent, at the moment where he's doing that rebooking or whatever, if that call center agent had the possibility to take that booking, the file is just created, put it on the queue, and it automatically scored, would that help you? I think it would.
They were calling the Air Canada call center, not
But
us.
also the airline could check.
Well,
hey,
same thing with the airline.
We see in the history there was a different credit card. What's happening with that?
No, they're using the same credit card. They're using
Or
the
even
same
the same.
stolen credit card.
Yeah.
But the proposition here is the same. It's the agency or airline. If the airline had the possibility to say, okay, he wants to do a schedule change or whatever, he wants to fly another day, whatever, okay, with another credit card, whatever. They are not really trained for that. They cannot really see booking and tell me it's fraud. If they had the possibility to take that booking and put it somewhere on the queue that would automatically be reviewed and scored, I think that would help. But for that, you need to be able to speak the language of the GDS or CRS that is being used, be it Navigator or Amadeus. And you need to be able to go not only to retrieve the PR, you need to be able to interact with it. Put an option.
There's not much time to do that.
It's done in
That's the
seconds.
reality,
It's
you know?
done in seconds. That's the point. It's done in seconds.
What is the value proposition for the carrier? Because they know that they can offset that loss by issuing debit memos for travel agencies.
Yeah, let's ask the carriers. We have to meet. You don't want to have the fraudster on board, right? Maybe you have duty-free sales on board.
They don't, but it's how much effort they want to really put into it. If it's their own sale, now they're extremely interested in. And what Shelley's mentioning is that, oh, it's an agency sale. Okay, all right, I'm not going to spend quite as much time on it. We know that's the reality.
But the point is, they are the merchant of record. They are still the merchant of record. It's still the Lufthansa flight. Their requirement will get all over their bag if the ratio is too high. So they do have an interest. Their financial department may not really communicate with their sales team, but they have a direct hit also. If there's onboard duty-free sale, they're hit. They're transporting somebody for zero. They're paying the kerosene for it, and then on top of it, they have the chargeback ratio going up. The point is, sorry. One is, if an airline, all the airlines that I know, when they use a fraud check, they use it on their webpage. They think, okay, well, if it's an agency booking, just send them an ADM. It hits them right away with the chargeback ratio. So they have a direct hit.
But the carriers' chargeback ratios are low enough. They have a high tolerance before they're going to hit that 1% mark, where they're going to, be
I disagree.
engaged. For the large U.S. carriers, and I don't know if Lufthansa hit a bump in the road somewhere, but
They have a big
most of the airlines have got their fraud managed pretty well at this point, unless they're a smaller, medium-sized airline.
Yeah, but their fraud management is still for their e-commerce, and they don't care about the travel agents.
Well, when it comes to their ratio of chargebacks, they do. But even with the agency fraud included, it's not going to be at 1%, or they're going to be on some type of Visa or MasterCard.
A couple of weeks ago, we were speaking to quite a major airline in Europe. They said, we have to improve even our chargeback management. So they said, you know what, our financial department, when there's coming a chargeback, they make a stamp on it, it's an invoice. They don't challenge it. But even you can challenge chargebacks. It's an invoice. Hey. So, and it takes weeks or months until the financial department goes to the fraud department or the risk department and tell them, listen, maybe we have a problem, we should work on that.
How many do it?
I hear you. The challenge for a travel agent also is that they might hear about the chargebacks 3-4 months later, because it's, and I'm not. There are some carriers that do this very well. So I'm not trying to throw the carriers under the bus. There are carriers that do that very well, where they get the chargeback and they give the travel agency an opportunity to respond. But it's still, there are some out there that don't, and those are the ones that are having problems.
I mean, the issue is that we don't talk. We're sitting all in the same boat. If there's an airline, there's a travel agency, it doesn't matter. I mean, the fraudsters are looking for the weakest part of the chain, and they will get through it. I mean, we see attempts on. One fraudster was trying within 4 hours 60 to 70 booking attempts for every time the same routine. And then he was away. He didn't show up anymore. What he did, he was booking a flight on a small booking engine. Nobody sees it.
That didn't have a fraud check, obviously.
Right.
And he booked the flight on Iberia. He did, definitely. And the fraudsters are very smart and clever. They are going, we have seen fraudsters that were able to go into Amadeus and book by themselves.
But yeah, friendly fraud, he used to work for an agency and he had to sign it before he left the company that nobody knew about, and he was able to jump everywhere.
And the fraudsters look out for co-share flights. That's the next phenomenon.
Yeah, so
what you're suggesting, though, is
we are
that
suggesting that a good fraud check should, because there's a lot of cases what you could do. If you have a booking engine, for example, airline or agencies, you can do things, you can do filters where you say, okay, I'm not going to allow any bookings where the person that flight is not the same person as the person that pays. You could do that, but then you would not have any corporate bookings. Or you could do things like, okay, any bookings prior to 2 hours prior to departure or 1 day prior to departure, I will not allow. But then again, no high yield fares will cover. Or you could do things, I'm going to block all of Nigeria. Sure, you have PSPs that do that. But okay, Nigeria have a lot of fraud, 50% fraud, 50% good bookings. So today, is it interesting for an airline that flies the route or not? I think it is. Or an OTA, if you are able to catch a valid booking, let's say from Congo or whatever, you could block the whole country, sure, why not? But you could have a smart assistant as a kid, which would allow you to put things on queue and put an auto cancellation date if you're not sure. You have the time to review, make sure you have the money. If you forget to touch the booking, the auto cancel date will automatically cancel the booking. But to do that, you have to be able to access GPS and CRS. Or you could do, well, on other, block Africa because it's high risk. Here's the same again, 50-50. Yeah, you block Africa, you block Canada, you block whatever. And it's reviews everything. So for us, a good fraud prevention system should also offer a good automation. And that's where the main difference is. we think that you should be able to score a booking, and you should be able to act on the booking based on the scoring. So I just mentioned, for example, being able, if you have a booking, you have a lot of elements that could say it's a fraud, but it's not 100% a fraud. Okay, put it on the queue, insert remarks, insert an OSI in case of an airline, so that the agent at the gate, when they open the booking, OSI popping up. In case of a travel agency, put it automatically auto cancel it, meaning we read the TST, we know that ticket must be issued by the 15th of November. We put all the information, what we think it's a fraud, we put an auto cancel date in there. Okay, if an agent forgets to touch that booking, it will automatically cancel before last ticketing day. So this is something for agencies that what we think is absolutely relevant, absolutely needed, because it protects them. It's the best offense. So, okay, so here it's just a screen example of what we think for an agency as well as for an airline, that all your bookings are analyzed. You have some that are good to go, some that are suspicious, some that are definitely fraud, the red one, we tell you why. And based on the rule setting, you should be able, as an agent or as an airline, to define the rules. What should we do with that booking if the scoring is this, or if the email is that, or whatever we have in there. So we think that any good system should allow you to define your rules, so how we filter, what we block, but also what we should do with it within your reservation environment. And that's the part we believe is missing. And by the way, for airlines, false negative is also a big issue. So if you have a system that just blocks the booking, it's got a yahoo.fr email in there, just block it. Maybe you just picked up a really good customer that will now fly another airline. But if you were able to say, okay, we have some elements in the booking that could lead to a suspicious booking, put the information in our change the segment status, put it on the manual review queue, well, you've done much more work than today, but today it's done manually.
So the suggestion is that you automatically see your green bookings, which you can pass through, and to figure out which bookings do I have to challenge. I mean, when you can automatically identify the red bookings, cancel it. That's definitely fraud. And you have to lower the number of the yellow bookings, of the suspicious bookings. And that's the part what the fraud department has to do. Look up the yellow bookings and don't have to care about all the green bookings. I mean, also whitelisting, for example. When you have a customer who's coming every month, maybe he's a fraudster, maybe he's a good customer. Maybe he has changed his card, because how many credit cards do you have in your pocket? More than 2, I would guess. So you can change your credit card. This is no hard fact that you can say this is fraud because I come with the same name, with the date of birth, but I changed my credit card.
But yeah, I have to speak with a couple of screens because we were running out of time. But this is, we think, what is missing. The fraud prevention is one thing. The fraud automation is not there. Yeah, it doesn't matter which system you're using. The reservation lane somewhere. If you're an airline, if you're a travel agency, you want the information in there. You want the system that is able to act on the booking based on the scoring. And that makes a world of difference. It makes a world of difference at all levels. Here we have an example of remarks that are, automatically inserted, but it can go from removing single assignment, changing HK to UC, or changing HK to HL. It can also be for an airline. We say, okay, we check the load factor. If we know it's been booked in N class, we check the load factor. It's M9, fine, and we just change the segment size to HL. It gives you time. It's not completely removed. You still have the ability to rebook after the manual review, and you think, okay, it's not a fraud. I get the money. Okay, then fine. But at least you have the protection. If the load factor is 0 in N class, I could actually cancel it automatically if needed. So whatever can be done in the CRS or GDS environment based on the fraud scoring, that's the part that is missing today. That's the part that should be done. Okay, we just happen to do that, but we think fraud prevention is fraud prevention and fraud automation. People always think, oh, fraud prevention. How I give you the data and how do we stop it? You don't. You have to do both. This is much more inflexible. Any questions? By the way, this is just a screenshot showing how our customers define the queuing, when we pick up the booking, when we send bookings that have scored 60, when we send the booking that we have canceled. They define all the actions within the GDS or CRS environment.
Question. How do you see this working if a carrier picks up the risk? How do you see them interacting with the travel agency? Because the travel agency that issued the ticket needs to know what's happening. They have other transactions associated with that booking, classify it now as a package. So what's your vision around the communication between the carrier who's getting these messages and the travel agency who originated the ticket?
If you take a carrier that is hosted in the GDS, for example, when we go into the booking, we also know which BCC routes are generated in the booking, so we know where it comes from. It's a Lufthansa booking, but it's been done by a travel agency in Kaiserslautern. We have the pieces we know. So establishing, the relationship between the two is very easy for us. We could do automated emails to a department at Lufthansa or whatever. We have all the information that we need. We know who did the booking at what time, at what hour. We know we can go into history and see exactly which agent has done it. We are at the source. Whatever is in the PNR, we can read. Lufthansa doesn't have to send it to us. They don't have to use any web services from us to send us the information, because in the PNR, you add something, maybe I don't have it at the time. Because if I give you web services, the web services that you use to send information, you constantly have to update it because you change something in the PNR. It doesn't work that way.
But to give you an example, in Germany, not the biggest airline, Lufthansa, another airline, they're doing it manually. They're writing a remark, send it to the queue of the office, and tell the office, listen, there are fraudulent parameters inside. Cancel the booking or contact us, then we can identify what to do. And they are willing to don't send out an ADM. So
ADM
that's
doesn't help the airlines.
Yeah.
You still have to get hurt.
So, but I see a challenge in that we have so much automation in our industry now that when to be able to, you mentioned you might email the issuing travel agency. That email address might be an unmonitored email that's only used for automation. There's no body behind it. So how do you envision, again, getting that communication back to the travel agency?
The travel agency made the booking in the GDS. So you can send it on the queue. There's someone in the call center or in the back office who checks the queue. We just build up a special queue for fraud. That's what we are doing with several airlines. And we send them on queue, and there's fraud on, and there are people in the back office who are able or know what to do with these bookings.
Let's ask the travel agent, what would you like us to do in such a case?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, certainly that's a great idea if in the GDS, if the booking is a VSP booking and it's going to the GDS. My challenge with what you're offering is that I don't see you canceling the booking if it's not presented through the GDS, if it then goes to another platform. In Canada, we have Safvoyage, and they are the platform for all ITC and charter bookings. And so unless you're able to prevent the connection there.
Yes, okay, that's a good question. We connect also to TravelMole, for example. I mentioned the GDS, but I also mentioned the CRSs. So we connect to TravelMole also, we connect to Navitaire, Aircast, Radix, Nexpress, Coulomb, Echo, etc., etc. So Safvoyage, actually I do know them, I've contacted them a couple of years ago.
Okay.
If they have an XML or any kind of protocol, it's web service or XML, it's not rocket science, I can go there and whatever they support, we can do. Whatever GDS support today, auto cancel and XI and whatever, we can do. Whatever Navitaire support, queuing and canceling and booking, we can do. Safvoyage, if they have some kind of communication protocol, and if they support things like canceling the booking and putting it on the queue and inserting remarks, etc., if we do it via XML or via GDS, it doesn't matter. We can.
And when we have such platform bookings, we also, for most customers, we create ghost PNRs in their GDS, so that they have a copy of this booking in the GDS, so we are able to queue.
That's fantastic. Like, that would be great.
Yeah.
The automation part is missing in this industry, and it's something that we think should be, it's being used now with the customers that we have already, and airlines we have a couple of carriers that are piloting this. One will sign at the end of the year. When you talk fraud prevention, we should talk about fraud automation. We've seen airlines with 16 people in their revenue protection department going in bookings and doing things that could be easily automated. Easily.
So you talk about you're doing this based on data, you're storing data and going back and scoring based on the data. Where is your data coming from?
What the data comes from the PNR. We will analyze the PNR as it comes, where it sits. You don't have to send it to us. We go in your PC, we take a booking, we open it, and we look. We have an algorithm. We know we analyze the IP, the device fingerprint. We know he's going from Greece to Athens, and he's booking from a Congo IP. So we score all this information. Plus, he's got a phone that doesn't match. The zip code doesn't match the address. The email is a generic yahoo.fr email. So all this we score. And of course, beyond that, we have our own watch list that is used by all our customers, like TUI, Thomas Cook, etc. It's millions and millions of data. But we also work with people like Perzos, which is an airline database where we go to Perzos and say, hey, I have an email. Hit, no hit. If they have a hit, if they say, yeah, we know this email, it will increase the score. We work with people like Ethica in Canada. They have massive fraudulent data that they get from acquiring and issuing it. So we can go to them and say, hey, I have a card here. Does that ring a bell to you? If it does, we increase it. So it's about metrics, it's about the algorithm, but it's also about the automation. Once you've done that, and the part, what we're trying to convey here is that a lot of people may do IP, geolocation, and device fingerprinting, but no one does the part with automation. And that is something that helps the agents, helps the airline, and reduce your workload, basically.